House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair, Mr. Brian Mast from the great state of Florida. Brian Mast, welcome, sir, as always. I didn't get into this with the Treasury Secretary, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's start with Russia. We're going to have to stop buying Russian oil, okay? Europe's going to have to start buying Russian oil. China, we have slapped a tariff on India. I don't know whether that's mattered or not. What is happening in the Congress? What do you think about Putin's not playing ball? Something's going to break here, I think, relatively soon. How do you see this, sir? How do we sanction or tariff countries and stop buying Russian oil, which finances the Ukraine war?
Look, I think you start by looking at all the different silos of where they're buying it. It's LNG, it's heavy crude, it's coal in other places. There's a number of different places where we got to stop these energy moves. And then you say, what are all the various mechanisms that are touching this, that there's not a sanction on that yet? If we need to do something on the pipeline operators that are moving through pipeline, if we have to do something on the ghost fleets of ships, that absolutely needs to be done, that are moving these millions of barrels of oil a day going out of Russia. If we have to do something on anything moving across rail operators, everything that touches the movement of these energy sources, which is the cash cow. This is the cash cow for Russia. It's allowing them to continue to prosecute this war. We need to touch every single bit of it, and that means we have to go after China as well. China, number one, the largest consumer of all of this. Yes, India has been touched already, and there's other that are further on down that list, but China has to be looked at number one.
I agree on China 100%. I just want to raise, though, however briefly, is the European situation. In total, the EU is still buying over $20 billion of Russian oil and gas. Actually, they're buying more Russian oil than they are contributing to Ukraine. And I would think, we have a trade deal with Europe. Can't we get a Russian deal with Europe?
I mean, you're making the exact right point. I'm not going to disagree with you on that on any front. Why? Because this is the war that is in their backyard. This is the war that any European country is going to say this is an existential threat to them. They don't want to be behind a future iron curtain of a new Russia like the former Soviet Union, the Baltic, the far north states, you name it. This is their big worry. So if that's your big worry, then let's make sure we pay attention to what President Trump said in the 45 administration, which is, why in the world are you being this reliant on any form of Russian energy? It makes no sense at all. And we know that they allowed themselves to become extremely dependent on them, and they're still allowing that to this day. In totality, has to come to an end. We can't do one activity with our left hand, another activity with our right hand, and expect to be successful.
Mr. Trump has said that Israel is very close, has agreed to a certain deal regarding Hamas, an exchange of prisoners and a ceasefire and so forth. Now, Israel just bombed, I guess, some high-ranking Hamas people in Doha in Qatar. What do you make of that Israeli action? And in general, how can we, reach some kind of peaceful settlement in Israel, in Gaza, Hamas, and so forth? What do we do about that?
I think Caroline Leavitt nailed it in her statement from the president, which is, foreign policy is not as black and white as we always want it to be. We have one very close strategic friend and ally that just slapped another strategic friend and ally. That's a problem with us in the middle in part, but any dead Hamas is good. We want to see dead Hamas across the board, even if it's the ones that are hiding behind the negotiating table, which is what they've been doing in a safe house in Qatar. That's the problem on the Qatar front. On the Israeli front, they invaded the sovereignty of one of our friends and allies. Both of those are very serious issues. We want to see more dead Hamas, and we're going to support that until this is brought to a conclusion and all of those hostages are returned. That's the president's provisions. Get the bodies home, get the hostages home, return all of the dead from previous conflicts and abductions. It's barbaric to not do so. And let's try to get the world to move on from what took place here. But until that takes place, there's no moving on.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I agree. Thank you for that. I mean, really, thank you for that, backing Israel. Last one, the axis of evil, okay? It's out there. It's more than a cliche. I mean, it's North Korea, it's Russia, it's China, it's Iran. We saw them all holding hands and looking at all the military hardware in Shanghai. Axis of evil. On the Foreign Affairs Committee, your own view as chairman, what happens here? What is America's best strategy to combat it?
I think the best way that we combat that is to understand fundamentally where we're at. The United States of America, our allies, like Israel, our relationship with Qatar, we just brought them up, relationship with Japan, all of our allies, we have fundamental relationships of trust. That axis of evil, China, Iran, Russia, North Korea, anybody that they're working with, they fundamentally have relationships of distrust. We manage different things. We need to go out there as the diplomacy, the Foreign Affairs Committee, continue to foster our relationships of trust that put us at an infinitely higher level, infinitely higher capability than what that group, that axis of evil can ever reach. It should be laughable that any country in Africa, Latin America, South America, thinking, who do I want to align with? A future for my people like Iran, Russia, North Korea? Do I want that kind of future for my people? Or a future like the people in America had, the people in Japan had, the people in Australia have, all those allies of the United States of America. We show the world that, and we gain our allies and we gain our strength.
All right, terrific stuff. Thank you so much, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair, Mr. Brian Mast. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.